Trogdor here signing in with my first impressions review of Halloween Horror Nights 24. It's a little late, but I did get the American Werewolf in London shirt at the event this year, and I plan on getting a couple others. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But yeah, I just wanted to show off some love and pride. But, okay, so here's the deal that Halloween Horror Nights 24 blew my expectations completely out of the water. This is better than last year, this is better than 22, and this is better than my original year, 21. This is the crux of probably the best Halloween Horror Nights, the most cohesive event that they've serviced and had in quite some time. The lack of an icon or original theme has not hurt the event, as far as that they've spent more time on the individual experiences that are within. This is my favorite year that I've attended the event. So let's start breaking down the experiences. Just to give a little explanation, I went on opening night on September 19th for annual pass holder night, and I'll preface this in saying that I won't really be able to fully judge all of the scare zones. It rained and drizzled a lot opening night. Not really like a downpour, like a deluge, like it was in 2012, but it was still present. It was just slight and annoying. So Masquerade will be the main one I will not be able to give any impression on or review as far as my thoughts. I never really got to see any of the actors out. I think they came out for about an hour or so, and then started raining a little bit again, and they had to go back in. The zone looked very cool, but I can't really review it. So then I will review Bayou of Blood, Face Off, and The Purge. But let's talk about the houses before we talk about the street experiences. And I'll go in the order that we did them, and then I'll rank them in my favorite to least favorite. The first house that we hit was Roanoke Cannibal Colony. This house was very cool. It was very dark. My only main issue with the house is that there's a lot of gore and graphicness in it, but it's so much dark that you can't always see it. Like there's clearly a guy that's gnawing on someone's face and head in the entrance to the maze right by where the facade is inside, but you can't really see it because it's so dark. Now the darkness I do like. I really like dark mazes, but the cue lights, like for like when the scares are supposed to happen, were a little off with the actors. So like somebody would do something and then a light would go and they would be back in their standing position. So it just felt a little off. I feel it's an experience that is going to improve over time. But I did enjoy the house. So currently right now, I'm going to give it a ranking of... I'm going to just give it, like, I'm not going to give it any stars, but we're just going to go off of bad, fair, good, awesome, and perfect. So I'm just going to give this house a good. It was a very good experience. I didn't feel cheated. I felt like it was very interesting, and it can be improved, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it improves over the next couple weeks. The next house we hit was Dollhouse of the Damned. The facade for this house is very cool, very childish, demented. This house wasn't necessarily full of scares. I was a little behind a couple of people that were getting the scares, but there was a lot to look at in the house. I got a couple good ones, a couple good scares. This house, I definitely do like it, and I do look forward to returning into it. It's dark, it's twisted, and that's kind of what it feeds on. It's not in-your-face pop-out scare or anything like that. It's more of like an everlasting, eerie effect of being offset while you're in the house. So for me, I'll give this house... I'm going to give it... It's somewhere in between for me right now, an awesome and a good. But I'm just going to give it a good right now. I'm looking forward to seeing how the experience is going to change. But definitely, it was a very good house. The next house that we went to was Halloween. Now, I did go in here with my friend, Psycho Massacre Films, and I was with another friend of mine, Saron Disney, and some of his friends, and then my friend as well. So we went into Halloween. I had expectations for this house, but did not realize that it would be blown totally out of the stratosphere. This is tied for my favorite house of the event, and may, unfortunately, knock off this guy from my favorite house of all time event. This is absolutely the most perfect retelling I could possibly imagine of Halloween. Every scene from the original film is in the house. Every scare works well. Michael Myers is relentlessly as ever. He is literally the shape. He pops up and goes and comes and gets you when you least expect it. It is out of this world. It is awesome. It is beyond perfect. I don't want to spoil a lot of things of what's in the house, but the finale and towards the end, there's like 4 or 5 spots where you're not going to get out of the house if you're not screaming your head off. I scream like a little girl. This house is, there should be a rating that's beyond perfect because that is what this is. It is a perfect house. It is absolutely should be on your list to hit when you go to the event. The next house we did was Dracula Untold: Reign in Blood. This house I was anticipating. I didn't know what to think about it. We didn't know a lot about the movie, and I know that people have been getting mixed reactions about it. For myself personally, I love this house. This is a house that I feel is very different than a lot of the other houses at the event. It's a gothic house. This to me feels like what maybe the end or the aftermath of the movie Dracula Untold will be. There are some parts that are a little confusing because I'm not, again, like all the other IPs I'm familiar with, I know the stories insides and outwards besides this one. So there's a couple rooms that, and you'll go in and you're like, well, what is this? This doesn't make sense. But that does not negate the scare factor that is within inside this house. There are 4 or 5 spots that are absolutely mind-bogglingly good. There are some projection scares that are very cool as well, and there's a couple scares towards the end, and there's a very cool vampire biting scare somewhere in the house that you'll have to look for. I love this house. To me, this house is somewhere between an awesome and a perfect, and I'm feeling that the more and more I go into it, it's going to move to a perfect rating from me. I absolutely love this house, and I cannot wait to go back in. It's one of my houses that I'm most anticipating going back into. So right now, I'm just going to give it an awesome, but know that it's probably going to move through the ranks to being a perfect. So the next house that we went and did after this was Giggles and Gore Inc. Now, all you know that I was not anticipating this house in the slightest. I thought this house was going to be bad. You know my feeling about the Disaster Q as a venue, and I knew that it was going to be shorter rooms. There's supposed to be less rooms at any of the houses, and wow, was I absolutely blown away by what was done in this house. I'll preface this, that this is the best original content house at the event this year, in my opinion. If you watch my Halloween Scream review, I'm afraid of clowns. That's kind of my phobia, I guess, a little bit, and this does not help it in the slightest. The rooms, it doesn't feel like it's 7 rooms. It feels so much more. And I think that this is helped by the extension of lots of long hallways and transition zones. There may be only 7, it felt like 8 big rooms, but it's transitioned so well. And there's some big hallway rooms, so it feels a lot longer than it is. And I really enjoyed it. There's some really cool content in this graph. There's some gross smells in here as well. And if you're very like gore sensitive, this may not be a house for you, but it's very cool. My only problem is, again, with the Disaster Queue is the queue line. It is obscene how long it takes. We went in and it was supposed to like 30-minute wait. We waited an hour and a half. Beware the Disaster Queue, not for the house, but beware it for the actual queue line. Express Pass gets in like no problem, but everybody else suffers for it. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely, if it's a lower weight, get in and do it. But know that pretty much I would tack on an extra 30 minutes onto whatever the queue time outside is, and if you want to wait that long. But it is the best original content house in my opinion this year. I'm going to give it a straight up awesome. It is great. I can't wait to go back into it and look at more and see some of the little nuances and treasures inside. The next house we hit was From Dusk Till Dawn, a house that I was very much anticipating and do not feel in the slightest let down by it. I actually feel more encouraged and joyful about the house, and look forward to going in and winning more visits. This is the proper way to do a TV property house. And AMC should take notes if we do have the misfortune of having The Walking Dead back again next year, that this house, spoiler alert, just a little bit, all the characters from the series are in the house, and that took this house to another level for me. There are so many little things in there between saying Sex Machines, Dick Gunn, and the Gecko Brothers, and Kate, and Carlos, and little nods to the movie, and characters that are in the show that are in the movie, and characters in the show that are in the movie. It's all over. It's so good, and the rooms that they added from the show do nothing but add to the effect. This was built for Halloween Horror Nights. It is an awesome house. I can't wait to go through it again. It is straight up and awesome. And this is another one that could, in future visits, move its way up to a perfect for me. The next house that we did was The Walking Dead, The End of the Line. Now, my experience with this house is this was my least favorite house of the night. Now, that doesn't mean that this is my least favorite house of the event. And this is not a bad house. I will preface this and say that Noah, and I think I've said this already, is that there's no bad houses at the event this year. These are all better than half the houses last year, almost the majority of the houses in 2012, and a lot of houses in 21 that I went to. This is the best year for houses I've ever seen at Halloween Horror Nights. But this was the weaker link as far as scares for me. I felt like I was behind a lot of scares. This is a long house. It doesn't feel as long as like they've described it as it was supposed to be, but it feels like you go through and then all of a sudden you get like almost to the end. You're like, wow, I feel like I've been in here for a while. Now they were not lying when they said there was a lot of rooms with a lot of actors, because there are, but I felt like I was in the middle of a cast change to the first half of the house, because I felt like we literally saw boo doors, and like my buddy pushed on it and it like opened and there was nobody there. So I felt like there was a lack of some actors inside the house, like we might have been in the middle of a cast change, so I can't judge on that. The locations do get confusing, going from the prison to the big spot to all the different locations on the way to Terminus. None of them feel as predetermined. It almost gives it a little bit of 2012 syndrome. Not as bad, but it does feel weird, the awkward transitioning a little bit. But it does work better. I look forward to going through it again at least one or two more times. Right now, I'm going to give this house between a fair and a good. This is my least favorite house of the event so far. I do enjoy the nods to the characters in the show, but after going through From Dusk Till Dawn and seeing all the characters from the show in there, it does leave me a bit disappointed. So right now, I'm going to leave it as a fair. The last house of the event that we went into was Alien vs. Predator. I didn't know what to think. I'd heard mixed reactions now from people saying that it depended on the timing that you were in the house, or certain other things, that they just didn't dig it. This and Halloween are tied for my #1 spot of house of all time. This house is ridiculous. In fact, that's the rating I'm going to give AVP. This house is it's not just perfect, it's ridiculous. It is beyond perfect. It's ridiculous. The fact that they took the characters and created their own story with it. This is not like the game, like I was thinking it might have been. This is not like any of the movies. They're just references and nuances to all the franchises. It is ridiculously awesome. Their scares are relentlessly everywhere. The puppetry is next level from what this was. Everything feels right. It feels perfect. You can't see the puppeteers in any way, shape, or form. It's all covered up. It's just, there's colonial marines inside. There's references in the movies and like the androids. It's just awesome. There's some great scares, great use of the aliens. The predators are very intimidating and stare into your soul, and they will freak you the hell out. Word of advice: don't touch the walls where it looks like alien goo is, because that feels like alien goo. It is gross, and you'll leave your hand going, ugh, it's gross. But this house is ridiculous. This is my house of the event so far right now. Like I said, my list may shift a little bit up and down, but as of right now, I'm going to rate it as my favorite house is AVP, Halloween. Then we're going to go Dracula Untold, Giggles and Gore, From Dusk Till Dawn, Dollhouse of the Damned, Roanoke, and The Walking Dead. That's my list so far of the house experiences. So I look forward to seeing, like I said, some of those may shift a little bit up and down depending on how they carry out through the entire event, but that's it right now. As far as the street experiences are concerned, The Purge is totally awesome. It is a ridiculous scare zone. I'm giving that a ridiculous rating. It's so active. There's so much going on. It is the most rock and roll-esque scare zone. There's just metalcore blasting over the speakers. It just feels, everything feels right about it. There might be a few more, if they added a couple more actors, it would be even more insane, but I love it the way it is now. Face Off, I really do love, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it more. It's a lot more active than I thought it was. I thought they were only going to have 10 actors in it, but it's like 5 on the vignettes. It is similar to 7, but I like it even better, and there are like 3 or 4 characters around each of the little vignettes, and it's really foggy, and there's a lot of chances for good scares in there. Actually, a very good scare zone. So that Bayou of Blood, I'm a little on the fence about. We walked through it. It's very cool, but the actors don't have as much motivation to scare as much. And it was a little harder for them to try to do scare. There's the wide open space in front of Mel's where the sacrifice is supposed to be held. No sacrifices were done on opening night because of the rain and all this stuff. I wasn't feeling it as much. Maybe it'll change during the event, but right now, my ranking of the scare zones is the Purge, the Face Off, and the Bayou of Blood. A little different than I thought it was going to be, but we'll definitely have to wait and see how things change. But until next time, guys, this is Asian Trogdor signing out with my quick review of Halloween Horror Nights 24, my first impressions, and I hope to talk to you guys all real soon. Later. Have a good day. Bye.